Hello and welcome to BrainVines. Hello, this is your host Sumedh again, and this is the very first episode with content on our podcast, so welcome. Today I'd like to talk about a very important topic, in my point of view of course, and a quick disclaimer that all the opinions that I'm going to express here are solely my own. So having done that, let's move on to the actual topic. Today I'd like to discuss with you guys why the rates of innovation in India are quite low as compared to what they actually should be, given such a vast country and such huge volumes of talent present. Innovations should be cropping up right and left, but clearly that is not the case. So why has India not been among the countries with high levels of innovation? Let's try and break that down today. Well, to begin with, let's consider the most common experience every person that has recently graduated goes through, regardless of the country they're in. Basically, now you are on the verge of entering the corporate world, and you start building your LinkedIn profile, and you try and add as many connections as possible, grow your network, and facilitate you getting a job or an internship, whatever you want to achieve after having completed a graduation. The LinkedIn platform is actually a really good place to get to know people that already work in your field of choice. And I went through a very similar experience myself very recently. But this is where, our problem starts. The thing is, LinkedIn was made so that it would become easy to be able to contact the people that are important to your field and indirectly important to you. But what has happened today because of the so-called corporate culture, that most of the people who are already established and on positions high up the ladder, those people don't have time on their hands to even look at the people trying to contact them. So the in-mails, which should be like a really nice way of getting in touch with someone who you would have not been able to get in touch with otherwise outside of LinkedIn. Now, these in-mails have become the sort of thing that you bombard at someone, try and send 10 in-mails, and maybe there's a teeny tiny possibility that one of them may get read and you may get a response. Still, that is not a sure thing. So why does this keep happening? I mean, I've had the same experience with loads of people. The success rate of getting a reply for a LinkedIn in-mail for me has been about 2%. That is, for about 100 in-mails, I only got replied to 2 of them. So why is this the case? Why is the very technology built to facilitate this kind of communication suffering from communication blockage or the total lack of it? What could be the reason behind it? Now, this was one of the things that stirred up something in my mind that we need to bring this into the light. Someone needs to have a discussion about this. So this was my way of looking at it. Now the people working in the corporates might say that they simply don't have enough time to look at these things. So what exactly needs to be done here? Do we need to somehow add more people to a corporate account who can manage more in-mails? Or maybe have a different infrastructure for contacting these kinds of people? I don't know what the solution exactly could be, but the current situation is something you cannot be happy with. And this leads us to our main topic of discussion, why innovation in India is not as good as compared to the other countries? Well, to delve further into this topic, let me share with you an experience that I have had recently. I tried contacting a corporate in India, which is quite the large company these days. Today, it's a very big name in the delivery service area. And the thing is, I tried to contact them on LinkedIn without any kind of results at all. Then we tried different handles, and luckily, me and my project partner, we found another place where we could contact them, their Twitter handle for the people trying to reach out to them. And first of all, we thought it was quite a good response because we got their escalations department answering to us. And what they said was they have forwarded the relevant mail to the next department, which is actually supposed to be reading these kinds of mails. And to be specific, the mail was regarding an idea that we had tried to implement, and we had also put together a small prototype to be able to demonstrate to this corporate what the idea was going to be like. And we were quite happy with the first response we got. This was about 3 months ago, in May, I think. So we were quite happy and we were awaiting another response from their side. But as you would expect from an Indian corporate, we didn't get one. And we were quite patient with, the whole process and trying to wait for a reply. After all, it's a big corporate and all the people are very busy. And even the teams that should be discussing this have a lot of work on their hands already. So we took all of that into consideration and kept waiting. In the meanwhile, we prepared a very elaborate presentation, further exploring the prototype that we had sent them, further exploring the idea, how it would be really beneficial for them to be implementing such an idea. And the next time we contacted them, instead of simply asking for what the status of our previous inquiry was, we attached the presentation to our email and described the presentation briefly, telling them that the presentation had everything they'd want to know in order to make an informed decision about the proposal we had made them. And I thought this was again heading in a good direction, as we got a reply from the same escalations department and a different person this time. This time, the reply said that they needed time to carefully evaluate whatever proposal we had put forth, and thus we should probably need to wait for a reply. And since then, as you might not be surprised to hear, we haven't been able to get in touch with them. And most importantly, other than the people from the escalations department, nobody that had anything to do with our proposal, even remotely connected to that topic, responded to us. So from the total lack of communication that we faced, we were left with quite some disappointment. And this was not only for the corporate that I am speaking about, but we tried to contact a couple of other corporates who might have been able to help us as well, because the basic idea of reaching out to somebody and not implementing our own idea was that the idea needed to have a delivery infrastructure which was already in place in order to avoid the setup cost. The point is, we didn't get a response from anyone, and the companies that had specialized emails designed for this purpose, for social causes, I can tell you that much, this was for charity purposes. So the companies that had specialized handles made for exactly the same purpose didn't reply when contacted on the given handles. And I'm not talking about small companies here. These companies are giants in the food and delivery area in India. So this kind of a behavior makes me want to not share any of my ideas or thoughts with these people. And I am sure this has happened to a lot many besides me and my project mate. This kind of a behavior seen from my angle, is very discouraging, because you come up with something that you think is a really nice way to improve the things that are happening in today's society, and to only implement that you need certain encouraging words from some people. Even if they hadn't, accepted our idea, it was up to them. It was their decision after all. But my problem is not with that. My problem is the fact that they refuse to even make contact with us. Probably if they didn't want to implement this idea right away, they could have told us that this was in the pipeline for them and that they would contact us if necessary over time when they were ready to do it. They could have denied us the opportunity directly by saying that they are not willing to undergo any such kind of a project. This would have meant clarity in the conversation, which, by the way, was barely even a conversation, and that would have meant us not being mentally involved in the idea of working with the said corporate. This kind of a courtesy needs to be extended in these areas, because even if you are a big corporate, it now becomes your responsibility to handle everything that comes across to you with a certain amount of courtesy. And if that is not present, then I guess they haven't just realized what responsibility they need to shoulder. This is my side of things again. Many of the people that are already working in such corporate environments that I've had a discussion about all of this with seem to cite the only reason that these people just don't have enough time on their hands. So if you are a big enough corporate, why not assign people to process these requests, put an infrastructure in place so that these kind of requests are arranged in the order of the severity they need to be addressed at, and then a department to deal with all of these requests. If you're saying you forwarded something to the relevant department, the person that you said this to expects an answer, maybe in a few weeks or even months. And it's a thing of courtesy to let the person know who's waiting that say, okay, your request is being processed, please be patient with us. Simply saying that would have helped us hold on to the idea. The thing is, to be really, really honest, according to me, what these people tend to do is they neither accept nor deny any of your proposals. So, as I told you, this was regarding a charity initiative, and there is a thing in place called the corporate social responsibility. And if the company had been made out to have not accepted such a proposal, then it's just bad press. So I think the only solution that they go to for these things is to not answer at all. So this needs to be improved. If such an infrastructure is not in place that encourages youngsters or even people who just happen to have a great idea to come forth and then see your idea being worked upon, see it being materialized. So if this happens, this kind of a behavior is encouraged in the country by some means, then you'll see brilliant and innovative ideas cropping up everywhere. Just think of how much good this can do to our society. If you pop 100 ideas at someone and one of them turns out to be really good and they start working on that idea, can you believe how many lives would change for the good because of only the structure that is present to process these kind of ideas? By simply not neglecting what somebody is reaching out to you for, people's lives can change. So this needs to be treated with that kind of gravity, this structure that promotes innovation among the people, it is very important. Okay, I'll ask you to write down about 3 things in the comments. The first one is obviously what we can do to establish this kind of a structure. Is it the corporate's fault? Is my view wrong? Or if it is wrong, to what extent? And what's your argument by which you're trying to say that my views are wrong here? I'm wholly open to accepting any kind of views in the comments. And finally, as I've told you in the previous video, let me know anything and everything, right from my accent to my speech to my diction to my pronunciation, whatever you're unable to understand clearly, if the pauses are irritating for you. This is a very raw and uncut version of me speaking and with very little edits. So if you want a better version, maybe I'll edit more, maybe I'll have a manuscript the next time, but this is just a simple flowing train of thought. Kindly let me know any improvement that you would like to see with this podcast. And I'm hoping you'll stay with me for the next idea. I'm very thankful that you've been patient enough to wait for this one. And I'll come up with a new video really soon. Till then, have a fantastic time.